some research findings. We're going to hear some interesting research findings from you know, the next generation researchers. So that's why this session, is an important, I would say, milestone for all of us for this conference. So we will have four papers. These papers will cover from issues from financial development to earthquakes to environmental degradation and agricultural transformation. So the next 1.5 hours, we will have a journey, I believe, from the mountains of Nepal to the farmlands of India to rivers of Bangladesh. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from all the presenters. Uh, so we have two distinguished discussants, Ms. Faria Khan and Ms. Shakatasti. They are the research associates from Summit. So I'm very much sure that their interventions will be very useful and the presenters will be benefited from their interventions. So there are a few housekeeping notes and want to read out before we start the main session. So we have 1.5 hours, as I mentioned earlier. Each presenter will get 10 minutes to present their research. We have, I believe, the timekeeper who will alert each of you at the 5th minute and again at the 9th minute. For the online presenter, notifications will be sent via Zoom, I believe. So I would just want you to be a bit alert, okay, to send the alert via Zoom. Each discussant will get 7.5 minutes to discuss the papers. Each of the discussants will discuss two papers. And during the open discussion, each participant will have a maximum of 1 minute to, ask his or her question. Uh, is there any online participant?
Yes.
All right. So without further ado, let's start the session. I would invite our first presenter, Mr. Amza Hussain, to present this research. Over to you. You will get 10 minutes.
Just give me a minute. Sorry. Essential pieces. I cannot find the text.
Beautiful. Well, I think let's start with Mr. Sushant Rizal. I would request you to present your papers. Thank you very much.
I have some updated people.
Sorry?
I have some updated people like this request.
Yeah, yeah, I was. Okay.
PDF. Maybe we can share the entire screen. Good evening, everyone. Uh, I am Sushant Rizal, a recent graduate from Kathmandu University, Nepal. My co-author Adis Karki could not be present here, but I would like to take a moment to appreciate his contribution. Uh, so the title of our paper is When the Earth Shakes, Do Minds Shift? Evidence on Time Preference from the 2015 Gorkha Earthquake. Gorkha is a district in Nepal, and in 2015, a large earthquake struck there. A lot of deaths, injuries, losses, and almost half of the country got affected by it. And as a response, a multi-donor trust fund placed about 4.1 billion USD to 14 most affected districts, targeting those households which required complete rebuilding. And in the first phase, about 300,000 Nepalese rupees is almost like 2,000 USD to be given in three tranches. And by the end of 2018, which is like 3 years after the earthquake, almost 60% of the household had already received at least two installments. Now, when a catastrophic shock hits, it affects, it destroys asset, it disrupts market, it kills livelihood, and then the survivor, they tend to reorganize their spending pattern. Now, there are a lot of literature studying the impact on saving, income, migration, credit access, risk preferences. And in this paper, what I will be doing is studying the structure of consumption and studying how a disaster reshapes the consumption pattern into immediate consumable consumption or maybe forward-looking expenditures. Now, the concept of present bias means this is defined as how an individual or a household allocates their consumption into immediate consumable goods or forward-thinking investments. And the link can be genuine preference or it might be apparent present bias. For example, somebody house is destroyed. Now they have no liquidity to fund their um, uh, repairment. And in that case, what happens is they might involve into indulgences, buying alcohol, consuming alcohol, rather than forward-looking investment into repairment, right? So that is an apparent present bias. And if we remove some sort of liquidity constraint, maybe we get general genuine preference bias, right? So uh, the foundational tool of the literature in disaster response studies have already studied its impact on consumption and welfare. And in Nepal too, there are a lot of literature on the aftermath effect of landslides and floods, um, which is already mentioned in my paper in more detail. Regarding the literature on time preference, um, there is a general notion that the short-term present bias coexist with long-term patience in the normal scenario. But when there is an extreme event like an earthquake, the balance disrupts. And now what happens is people go into present-centricness or maybe future-centricness. It depends. So in a lot of experimental study, they have found the literature have found present bias following the shock, while Michael Callan studied the Indian Ocean tsunami and found Sri Lanka found exclusively among the Sri Lankan wage owner have turned into future centric. They have found more patience among them. So the important thing, the key thing to understand here is whether it's a current shift or whether it's a genuine preference shift. So that is important. And there is a liquidity constant, right? So which defines whether this is apparent or whether it's a genuine. So the mediators of financial stability are is a huge remittance dependent economy, and comparing GDP and remittance is almost like 20% of the GDP. And it has been evident in the literature that um, shock leads to rise in the remittance, but the exact direction of whether it leads to rise in consumption or investment is really ambiguous. Regarding transfer like earthquake grants and other benefits, when it is dispersed in large amount, it binds with liquidity constraint, and it reveals the true preference. So my central research question is how earthquake is shaping the structure of consumption pattern and how aid or different financial channel is helping to moderate those effects. I will be using a micro level nationally representative household survey data. And for earthquake intensity, I'll be using SECMAG provided by USGS, which is in VDC level, which is admin for administrative level 4 of Nepal. And I'll be using analysis 3 as pre-earthquake, while HRVS as post-earthquake, and I'll be taking 50 common districts, which is common in all of my data source, and I'll be adjusting for inflation for all of my expenditure variables. These are some list of my variables that I will be using. Treatment is basically modified mortality, our food, non-food consumption, and other control variables. And looking at my pre-earthquake balance test, I find that treated households are more educated, basically more educated, wealthier, better housed. And even though an earthquake is an exogenous shock, my treatment is not purely random. So I have to use some sort of controls or fixed other variable strategy to take into consideration. So for my first specification, I exploit the variation in earthquake intensity within a district between VDC, which is my treatment level, in a DID framework. So analysis 3 2011 will be my pre-earthquake, while HRVS 16, where the household has just experienced the earthquake, and 2018, where household has experienced earthquake as well as just received their aid. So 60% has already received aid in 2018. This is my DLE framework. But the thing to consider is that inside a district, between my treatment level, the household might not be very similar. The high intense VDCs versus low intense VDCs are not similar. And this might lead to bias in our estimates. So what I do is use two-way fixed model with household fixed effect. And because my earthquake intensity is not time invariant, the household fixed effect will definitely absorb it. So the interaction term, the coefficient of the interaction term will be the parameter of my interest, and it measures how 1 unit, 1 standard deviation increase in the earthquake intensity changes the expenditure trajectory over time. But I have similar model for my grant. So what happens if the household receive grants? But the thing is, grant is time variant. Household in 2016 has not received grant, but the same household in 2018 receives grant. So the model finds how receiving a grant improve a household expenditure. So for my so for the result of my first model, what I see is um, onset of the shock household, there's a insignificant rise in food consumption expenditure in 2016. In 2018, household has already got aid, but there is no significant rise in the food. There is some stabilization effect. While for non-food consumption expenditure, immediately after the shock, there is a huge cut in the non-food expenditure. But on getting the aid in 2018, the non-food consumption expenditure has also stabilized. For durable consumption, it has fallen down for both period. For repair, in 2018, I can see a huge rise, which is in line with remittance with aid. But in 2016, I do not see very significant variation that signals some sort of liquidity constant. For alcohol, also, I see the similar result. Now, because remittance is one of the biggest means, 13% of the rise in food consumption expenditure in 2016, which I earlier saw as moderate, is due to the remittance. While interesting factor that I saw is remittance did not contribute in any reconstruction activity in the both period, even though the remittance was really huge in both period. Looking at my two-way fixed effect model, I see similar result to my earlier, which kind of corroborates with my finding. And for my final table, what I see is for impacted household, there is no spillover effect of my um, grant apart from repair and maintenance. So household has gotten aid, but it is exclusively few minutes, 2 minutes. Okay, they have exclusively spent in repair, but not in food or non-food consumption expenditure, not in alcohol. But for non-impacted household which are living in high intense area, they might have received aid, but they are utilizing almost all in food, non-food consumption expenditure. And in the last table, what I see is on receiving grant, definitely the reconstruction rises sharp, but there is no marginal benefit of targeting higher MMI household compared to the lower. So there's no marginal benefit of targeting the most affected household, which is very surprising. So to conclude, what I would like to say is onset of the shock, the non-food consumption expenditure has fallen rapidly, but due to remittance, the food consumption expenditure has kind of stabilized. And in 2018, on getting the aid, they have uh, partly used it for their resilience and for reconstruction activities, but they have also inclined to us consuming alcohol, but that is only for samples whose household is not affected. So, connecting all my findings, I see that Nepali people are kind of very serious and not reckless in their spending pattern. They like to protect themselves. They like to maybe save, not recklessly spend without thinking about the future. So, from my connecting all the dots, I think that Nepali people are really future centric. So, thank you for my presentation. This is all I would like to say feedback on this.
All right, so let's quickly move on to next presentation. I will request Mr. Mohammed Sharia as to present this paper. Sharia, over to you. The 10 minutes, please. You can take 1 or 2 minutes. I mean, if it presentation to 10 minutes, should be okay, right?
Good afternoon, respected chair, fellow discussants, and participants here to uh, watch insightful session from all the um, young researchers. Okay. So this is Nishari Ahmed Arju from the Department of Economics, University of Rajshahi. And right now I'm presenting a research paper called The Nexus Between Environmental Degradation, Climate Variability, Renewable Energy, and Agricultural Production in South Asia Perspective. It is from a PMG ERDL panel analysis. So we already know about the South Asian context. In the case of South Asian nations, we can say that the agricultural production and the agricultural dependency in this country's context. So here the main things we can see that the dependency in agricultural production is very convenient, and also the agriculture has huge contribution to poverty reduction, regional livelihoods, food insecurity, as well as in the overall economic growth in this South Asian context. So in this case, environmental degradation or climate-related impacts has major impacts on this and agricultural production. So that's why this study actually intends to identify the causes. So in the case, my study actually follows two objectives. The first one is to examine how environmental degradation and climate variability affect crop production. And secondly, to assess the role of economic and energy factors in supporting crop production in South Asian countries. So following the objectives, I actually saw so many previous studies, and I segmented in three ways. First of all, from the perspective or context of environmental degradation in agriculture context, I saw that their agriculture contributes and is affected by carbon emission. We already know about the global externality of carbon emission as high level. So even yes, I actually see that the carbon is very high also in the agriculture. Perspective. My study actually found the literature gap in the South Asian context where I did not found so many studies combining environmental degradation, that is, and climate variability like temperature and rainfall. On the other hand, clean energy, renewable energy, combining these three main indicators that has huge impact on agricultural production, integrated into a single framework. That is my study interest to fill up following the literature gap, where I followed the 7 South Asian nations, following here the countries we see here, and the time period is 2000 to 2020, and that is based on the data availability. And the study follows the PMG ARDL analysis that actually shows the short run as well as long run impact on the dependent variables. Those there are variables that for agricultural production that is proxied by crop production index, that is over years, And on the other hand, all other environmental degradation actually represented by carbon emission, and climate variability is indicated by temperature and rainfall. On the other hand, economic growth is represented by GDP and renewable energy and agricultural land that also used here to control the model. So here the PMG RDL model, why I actually use the PMG RDL model? That's the main question, because that actually shows the short run as well as the long run impact. But the PMG RDL actually indicates that short run differences may happen, but in the long run, equilibrium relationships or equilibrium impact of explanatory variables on dependent or dependent variables that actually shows following by the PMG RDL model. That is the good thing. Here is the descriptive statistics, and here is the pairwise correlation that is really an initial evidence that actually shows to see the linear relationship among the variables, and the overall study or overall results found there is no higher correlation or multipolarity problem here. On the other hand, this table actually shows the cross-sectional dependence test that actually important before running the ARDL or PMGRDL model, and all the value is highly significant. That means that there is environmental or economic or other related relationship exists between all the countries that actually followed in this study. So that's the good thing. Actually shows that there is interrelationship between all the variables in the case of all the 7 South Asian countries. So following the cross-sectional dependence, there is panel input test that has been also done, and we see that means integration stationary at fast difference as well as the level. So this is also a precondition to run the ARDL model. So this also satisfies the model here or result. And lastly, the Westerland co-integration test, that is also an important test, actually justified that whether there are long-run relationship or impact exist or not. So the result in the most cases shows that there is exists long-run relationship in the case of my study. So that's also justifies to run the PMGRDL model. So first of all, actually briefly discuss the long-run result. Here, the study found that carbon emission has significant negative impact on crop production or agricultural production. There's the relatable things, as we know that the carbon emission has so many other impact that indirectly impacts the overall environmental or other things. And in the same cases, carbon emission actually impacts the agricultural production. From the context of climatic variables, we see that temperature has not impacted significantly, but rainfall has significant positive impact in the overall crop production. That's the good thing. That means the rainfed or rain dependency in the South Asian agricultural context is very high. So that's why that's reliable in the case of this result to impact positively or justifies the rain dependency of the country's production level. And on the other hand, we see that GDP that contributes positively to improve the overall crop production, that actually over time in the case of infrastructural contribution or overall economic contribution, overall economic share to the crop production or to enhance the crop production, that supports the result. And agricultural production also significantly impacts the to increase the crop production. That's also a good thing, because we know that the agricultural land, due to industrialization or so many cases, that agricultural land has degraded, but the productivity may be rising. That's why there's the region that can cause to increase the increase the agriculture crop production from the agricultural land. And lastly, the most important thing, renewable energy, that has positive significant impact to enhance the crop production. That's the good thing. That means even if we have carbon emission that has negative impact on the crop production level, but as a supporting or good things, renewable energy can be used as a separate way to minimize the impact of carbon emission in this case. So that's the good result I found here. And in the short run, there is a fluctuation that's not a big deal. Here, the important thing is the error correction term. Here, we see the red mark. 22% disequilibrium actually adjusts over years from short run to long run. So that's the important thing that is needed for this PMG. Here, the study needs to, or is works or initiative needs to take in to enhance the adjustment level so that the contribution in the long run can increase. So following the results, my main policy implication actually based on the climate smart agriculture, as we all know, as we all know about the climate issues at present time, and it's also a burning issue. In this case, there are so many talking about actually happened about this climate change, but the main things actually comes when the question is about sustainability. So in the case of sustainability, here the solution can be based from the climate smart agriculture. There are so many ways that can actually help to reduce the impact of climate change. If we follow the sustainable and climate smart agriculture like low emission farming, resilient crop varieties like drought resilient or salinity resilient crops, that's actually already adopted by many countries. On the other hand, sustainable land use, we can rise on this investment that needs to be expanded by the following government of this country. On the other hand, clean energy solutions. So these are the solution actually following the climate smart agriculture is highly demanding in the case of to face the environmental degradation or climate change that actually highly impact the overall crop production. So following this implication through the overall regional cooperation, there's the main case can be taken or undertaken to solve such problem or to address such problem to ensure the sustainability and productivity for the futures. So following the conclusion, there is the main thing, environmental sustainability and also productivity are deeply interconnected in South Asia. So addressing climate change is essential for ensuring long-term food security and rural livelihoods. So a transition towards sustainable and climate resilient agriculture system is no longer optional, but is necessary for the overall sustainability and to enhance food security at present and for the future. So thank you so much. This is all about my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Shahir. So let's move to the next question. I guess now Mr. Answer is very well.
Yes. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, respected chair, distinguished discussant, and fellow participant. I'm Amjad Hussain, and today I will present our paper titled Financial Development as a Catalyst for Sustainability, Revolutionizing Environmental Performance Through the Digital Economy. This study investigates how the digital economy influences environmental performance in Asian economies. And here is us. Let's start with the introduction. In this section, we'll discuss about the background, research question, and research objectives of the study. Environmental sustainability has become a critical global challenge, especially in Asia, due to rapid industrialization and urbanization. In this study, we measure environmental performance using environmental performance index, which provide a comprehensive evolution of environmental quality, which may capture key dimensions such as air quality, climate change, biodiversity, water resources, and pollution management as well. At the same time, digital economy is transforming economic structure by in this study we also consider some key transmission channels such as human capital, energy intensity, and carbon intensity, which disease influence and sustainability. Finally, financial development play impact of digital tech investment and finance. And this is the all sustainability, such as especially human capital, sustainability, energy intensity, and carbon intensity. And also we examine how financial development, how the financial development, financial market, and financial institution moderate the relationship between digital economy and environmental performance. And finally, we explore heterogeneity across country. So the research question is how and under what condition digital economy influence environmental performance in Asian economies. Let's move to the next section, literature review. And in literature, theoretical foundation, literature gaps, and conceptual framework. In this study, we rely on several key theoretical foundations to explain the relationship between digital economy and environmental performance. Two of them are sustainable development theory and endogenous growth theory. Sustainable development theory emphasizes the need to balance between economic growth, environmental protection, and social well-being. It ensures that development should be sustainable, environmentally sustainable in the long run. And endogenous growth theory highlights how technological innovation and human capital can drive long-term economic growth. Several existing literature explain the direct relationship between digital economy and environmental performance. They explain that digital economy can improve environmental performance by enhancing efficiency and technological innovation. Studies also shows that digital economy can contribute to green innovation, improve environmental governance, and foster economic inclusivity. Despite existing literature, we also have some literature gaps. Most of the previous study explored the direct relationship between digital economy and environmental performance, ignoring the moderating role of financial development and the key mediating channels, and also ignored the heterogeneous and asymmetric effect across different levels of environmental performance. This study will integrate this literature gaps into the sustainability literature. And here is our conceptual framework. Our conceptual framework analyzes the direct effect of digital economy, indirect effect through mediators, and conditional effect through moderators. And here is our methodological section. And in this section, we'll discuss about the data and models of the study. We use panel data from 24 Asian countries over the period of 2010 to 2023. Our dependent variable and environmental performance, and independent variable are digital economy. Our mediating variables, human capital, sustainability, energy intensity, and carbon intensity. Our moderating variable are financial development, financial market, and financial institution. To minimize omitted variable bias, we include major control variable such as economic growth, industrialization, urbanization, and non-renewable energy consumption. And here is our estimation strategy. We conducted several preliminary tests to check the data quality and ensure that our estimation, our econometric result is valid and reliable. And we began with our regression analysis with Driscoll-Cray standard error. We choose this technique because it handles for heteroscedasticity, autocorrelation, and cross-sectional dependency, which may be common issues in macro level panel data. And the results of our baseline model shows the impact on environmental performance by improving 1% of digital economy improve environmental performance by 0.1062 to 0.178% based on model specification. To ensure robustness of our finding, we use several econometric techniques such as PCSC, FGLS, and system GMM. Across all these models, the result remains stable in terms of both sign and significance. This ensures the robustness of our findings, and that confirms that our results, our findings is not sensitive to model specification. To address endogeneity and reverse causality, we use instrumental variable regression through 2SLS estimation. And the results from the 2SLS estimation is also consistent with our baseline finding. This may be strengthen of our baseline conclusion. And additionally, to ensure asymmetric effects, we employ quantile regression to analyze how digital economy varies across different level of environmental performance. And the result shows that digitalization may help more in a countries with better poor environmental performance, and its effect is smaller in countries with already better performing. And here is our results of moderating effects of financial development and financial market and financial institution. And the result shows that financial development significantly strengthen the relationship between digital economy and environmental performance. The interaction term between digital economy and financial development, financial market, and financial institution are significant and positive. And here is the result of our mediating effect. It shows that digital economy may improve environmental performance through some key channels. Human capital and sustainability have a positive impact on this relationship, and while energy intensity and carbon intensity is reducing. And finally, here is the heterogeneity analysis, and this result shows that the impact of digital economy is not uniform. It is a stronger impact in the country with economic developed, technologically developed, industrialized, and urbanized, and as well as more polluted country. So it's confirmed that economic and structural conditions play a crucial role in determining how effective digitalization is in improving environmental outcomes. And in conclusion, we have some finding. Our first findings are that the digital economy has a positive and significant impact on environmental performance that confirms that digital transformation enhance environmental quality in Asian economies. And also digital economy improve environmental performance by some key mediating channels, including human capital, sustainability, while reducing energy intensity and carbon intensity, that indicate that digitalization promote efficiency and lower environmental pressures. And this study also find that financial development significantly strengthen the relationship. That's highlight the importance of financial system in enhancing sustainability outcomes. And finally, the results also indicate the significant cross-country heterogeneity in the impact of digital economy on environmental performance. It also suggests that structural and economic conditions play a crucial role in shaping environmental outcomes. Based on this finding, we have some recommendations such as promoting digital economy investment, enhancing financial development, invest in human capital, promote sustainable policy, encourage green innovation, and designing country-specific policy based on structural conditions. Thank you, everyone. That's all from us.
Excellent. So we have gone to 3 papers. So the final paper now, right? So we have with us Mr. Syed Suhaib. He has joined online. Can you hear me, Suhaib?
Yes, sir.
Great. So over to you, Suhaib. You have 10 minutes. You can take 1 or 2 more minutes. But try to, keep your presentation within the time we have provided. Go ahead.
Can you share for minutes? I can take on. Change.
Uh, okay. Okay. Good morning, respected chair, respected discussion, and all teachers and my friends. My name is S. Syed Shiv. I am second year BA student in History, Economics, Political Science at St. Joseph University, Bangalore, Karnataka, India. Today, I am very happy to present my paper titled Agriculture Transformation Paradox, Mathematical Analysis of Labor Displacement, Gender Wage Gaps, and Environmental Sustainability in Post-COVID India.
So 1 second, please. Who is presenting the slides? Will you present from your side?
Yeah, sure. Done.
You can share your screen. Please go ahead.
Is my screen visible?
I think there are some technical issues from your side. We cannot see your full screen. Can you refresh it or reshare it? We still cannot see.
What about now?
Uh, it's still it's loading. Or
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So good afternoon, respected chair, respected decision, and all other teachers and friends. Okay. Sorry for the late. My name is S. Sayed. I am second year BA student in History, Economics, Political Science in St. Joseph University, Bangalore, Karnataka, India. So, okay. Today, I'm very happy to present my paper titled Agriculture Transformation Paradox, Mathematical Analysis of Labor Displacement, Gender Wage Gap, and Environmental Sustainability in Post-COVID India from 2020 to 2025. Okay, on this slide, I will explain what happened in India after COVID. Farming is the backbone of the India and supports more than 1.4 billion people. Normally, as a country, it becomes rich, few people work on farms and more people work in and city factories. India followed this path for many years, but between 2017 and 2024, COVID broke this pattern. Farming employment rose from 44.1 percentage to 46.1 percentage, and about 68 million workers entered or returned to the agriculture fields. At the same time, tractor sales and mechanization grew faster, and the rural female labor force participation jumped from 24.6% to 47.6%, while the gender wage gap ratio worsened to 0.85. This strange mix of more machine, more workers, and more women, uh, and wider the wage gap is what I call the agricultural transformation paradox. So this slide shows the core problem and my main question. Existing research usually treats farm modernization, jobs, gender, and environment as a separate topic. This is the main gap. In India, 68 million people entered a sector that was still buying tractors. The gender wage gap ratio widened and the nitrogen use reached 136.4 kilogram per hectare, but no study joins all three. So my questions are simple. First, does the mechanization destroy job or mainly change the type of work? Second, why did a 23-point raise in female work not lead to a fairer pay? Third, what is link between farming interns and what pressure on the water and soil? Fourth, how much of this change came from COVID, reverse migration, and how much from the normal technology progress? This slide explains what what I wanted to do and how I did. Objective one is to build a simulation equation model that treats post-COVID agricultural transformation as one connected system. Objective two is to measure links between job displacement, machine, gender wage gaps, and environmental stress. Objective three is to create compost index such as agriculture transformation index and environmental stress index for a district level tracking. And objective four is to test policy simulation that join labor training, gender equality, and green mechanization. To reach this objective, I use only official Indian government data, PLF for employment, gender, wage, NSSO for informal work, agriculture stats at glance for the land use and mechanization, Indian Meteorological Development Department for rainfall and economic survey for broader trends. The study period is 2020 to 2025. I summarize on this slide, I summarize the early works in three short parts. First, under the agriculture transformation theory, the classic idea says that national nation grew richer, the people leave farms for the city factories and for the better income. India followed this path until 2027, when the farmer employment had dropped to 44.1 percentage. After COVID, it rose again to 46.1 percentage, even though the mechanization is already around 40 to 45 percentage, and the most tractors are small machine used by the small farmers. Second, under the gender wage inequality, the literature shows that rural female participation rose from 24.6 percentage to 47.6 percentage, but many women remained in informal, unpaid, or very low paid work, and the gender gap ratio widened to 0.85. Education didn't alone close this gap at all. Third, under the environmental sustainability, research shows that agriculture uses about 87% of water abstracts in India. Satellite shows the faster groundwater loss in north cropland expanding by around 9% and nitrogen balance at 136.4 kilogram per hectare. The key flaw is that each study looks at only one of this problem. Nobody connects tractor, women's wages, groundwater in one system. This is the art of my research. In real life, everything happens at the same time. Machine affect job affects wages affect technology choices, and technology affects environment. Simple one-way equation can't capture everything and can't capture this also. So I use simulation equation model with four linked equation. The first equation explains the agriculture transformation index using wages, government support, and rainfall. Second explains changes in agricultural job using transformation index, crop output and crop output and reverse migration. The third explains the gender wage gap using female participants, transformation, and women's education. The fourth explains environmental stress index using transformation and strength of regulation. To separate the cause from the effect, I use these instruments. Rainfall shock affects farmers' income and tractor buying, but don't direct the set the gender wage gap. Historically the female literature affects how acceptable is for women to work now, but the today's tractor sale can't change literature in the past. I estimate the system using three-stage least square, which is simple word as a three-step cleaning process that helps remove bias and links all four equations together. This slide shows the main outcome in a very simple form. First, 68 million 68 million new farmers entered or returned to the agriculture between 2017 to 2024. The farm employment share reached 46.1%, and the female participation in that reached 47.6%. Agriculture uses 87% of water abstraction, and nitrogen balance is at 136.4 kilogram per hectare. So based on this model, there are three clear messages. First, outcome. A rise in a mechanization index doesn't simply kill jobs. It tends to reduce some manual tasks, but increases machine operation and related work. Machine and people often work together. Outcome two, female participation on own can widen the wage gap because women are pushed into lower paid manual roles while the men dominate the machine job. Outcome three, high mechanization increase environmental stress mainly through putting heavy groundwater pumping and intense chemical use unless there is a shift to more precise and sustainable technology. On this slide, I explained the story behind the number. COVID created a correlation between the model technology and survival economics. Many informal workers lost city jobs and went back to the village. Farmers had both cheap labor and growing access to the basic machinery. So they expanded planted area quickly using tractor for ploughing and but still using many ants for planting, weeding, and harvesting. The gender wage gap persists because of social norms and job roles. Men are trying to drive and repair machines and can ask for higher wages. Women are kept in manual tasks, carry most carrying work at home, and often accept informal and part-time jobs near the village, which weakens their bargaining power. Environmental cost is also Environmental cost is also high. To support most extra workers, farmers pump large amount of water and use more chemical. So based on that, the policy and based on that, the policy simulation and the recommendation are there. So in a short words, first simulation is a labor training, where the government should train the laborers for the better quality work. And second is gender wage support, where the government should should uh, should train the female participation in the machinery training for making the wage gap equal. And third is the uh, green mechanization, making the solar-based irrigation and reduce groundwater loss, which will be all integrated in on India's Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, where we all the simulation can be put it in one package. So based to wrap up, as the 68 million new farmers workers didn't stop modernization. They made the basic machinery and cheap labor exploitation, but the woman wage gap is 0.85, and agriculture is using 87% of India's water. So the only limitation in this research is using the second data alone. and not understanding the deep family reasons for why women accept low wages or why workers stay in the village. For the future studies, only the primary field survives in around the Indian states and using the four equation model. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sunil. So this concludes the paper presentation. So we can move to the discussions. Who want to go first? Parna, and what are the papers we will be discussing? All right. Go on.
Hello everyone. My name is Faihan Khan. I'm working as a research assistant at Planet. I will be discussing a paper presented by Sir Shuheb and also by Mr. Mohammad Shari Ahmed Arfish. So if I start from the last paper, the paper that discusses how COVID-19 broke the agriculture participation and how it increased gender wage parity gap and how it displaced the labor. It was a very well organized and interesting paper, and in the fact that it combines three very relevant issues. And the fact that this is written by, I think, a second year undergrad student, and it's a very commendable effort. Congratulations for that. But with that said, there are some issues that I think need to be addressed. Firstly, there is a gap between the methodology and the results. You say that you're going to do a mathematical analysis, but when I go through the PowerPoint and also I have gone through the entire paper, I didn't really see any separate results section. So what I found through by going through the paper was that in the results section, you said 50, but I didn't see any specific result section. So, or how the significance level, or these are the things. So this is a very important section to add. I would say one of the most important sections to add. So for future reference, put that the result sections, the result table separate. And another concern is the whole geographical aggregation. India is a very big country with very heterogeneous experiences, geographically, socially, economically. You know better than us, because some states historically have very high gender wage gap. Some states have agricultural mechanization, and some are still in the primary parts of it. So when we don't take the different effects, or when we don't account for these differences, and we go for an aggregate analysis, maybe the average results might blindside us. So you could include a state fixed effect, or at the very least do separate analysis for different zones with different characteristics. So these are my suggestions or feedbacks from your presentation. And if I if I go to the second paper presented by Mr. Shahri Ahmed Arzu, who talks about the effect of environmental degradation, climate variability, adoption of renewable energy, and economic growth on agricultural production in different 7 countries of South Asia. So this was also a very organized paper. I enjoyed reading it, and it was very methodologically robust as far as I could tell. Uh, you took 20 years of that. So one of my concerns is 20 years, 7 countries. Is the dimension too low? Could it when you take lags, could it reduce the interpretability? Another concern is the temperature variable. It's a very, very important variable in the topic you're exploring. So it's not significant. I think it, given its importance, we could have gone into a bit more deeper analysis of it. Why this didn't come as significant? Because maybe because of the 20-year data, because temperature change occurs very slowly. So the 20-year data that you took might not represent the proper results. So it might be worth going into a longer data. And my final observation is the inclusion of Maldives. When I went through your paper, Maldives is Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, Nepal. These countries are more or less Bangladesh, India, Pakistan. These 3 countries are more or less the same, temperature-wise or agriculture-wise. But Maldives is a very different country. So putting them together might bias the results and might be worth exploring if we take Maldives out of the equation, would the results change? These were all my observations. Thank you.
Hello everyone. I am going to discuss the papers by Sushant Fijal and Mr. Amra Hussain. Both the papers are very methodologically strong, and I enjoyed reading both of them. Let me start with Mr. Sushant Fijal's paper. It was a very specific, very interesting, and you have tried to look at it from many aspects. I enjoyed reading it a lot, especially using the MMI score as treatment, or the way you have tried to look at it from 3 different perspectives. That is the cross-country repeated cross-section and 2-way fixed effects. Those were interesting as well. But other than that, the liquidity constraint of the alcohol consumption increase, those were also interesting finds as well. I have 1 or 2 very small query, or maybe I would like to see if there are any. I know parallel trend assumption is not possible here, but was there any alternative to it since we are doing a DID model? Another is you haven't addressed the attrition rates between 3 waves that you have taken into your calculation. So would that be possible? And I don't have much idea about the data sets or the data available for Nepal. Since the earthquake was in 2015, is 2011 the latest data available for Nepal, or do you have anything closer to 2015, that is 13 or 12? Is that available?
No, it's not available.
That was my question for you. And for Mr. Amjad Hussain, one thing I'd like to say, you have told about cross-country comparison. You have taken 24 countries, I think, but those were not very properly justified how did you take it, which countries you selected for what reason. Other than that, you also talked about, I mean, your variables were digital economy and GDP. So, do you think there can be a two-way causality there? The digital economy can also, GDP can also impact digital economy. Um, Also about the EP that you have used, how do you define the EP if you would like to clarify?
How a country manage their environmental, how a country protect their environment. In this measure, we collect the data from you. Yes.
You can answer.
We'll get back to you. So,
I think that was from my side.
all right. So thank you so much, discussants. So the floor is open for the questions. Who want to ask the first question? I would like to ask the first question.
My name is Ibrahim Hassan. I am from the Department of Economics, University of Rajshahi. I have a question to Mohammed Shahriar Ahmed. Your model suggests that renewable energy supports agricultural productivity in the long run, but in Bangladesh, where smallholder partners face liquidity constraints, how do you address the issue of short-term cost barriers that might reduce the adoption of renewable energy?
Let's take a few questions. Anyone? Any questions? No question. All right. So you got some responses from the discussants and one question from the group. So please go ahead. Any thoughts, any feedback, any response? Anyone? You could.
So first of all, I would like to thank Sunny for organizing this conference. Use networking opportunity, use spillover. There were two comments for me from Safa. I really thank for that. The one was regarding parallel trend assumption. Hello? I don't know, it's not working. Actually, it's one is regarding parallel trend alternative, since I've only used analysis 3, which is in 2011, 2010, 2011. But actually, we also have earlier data. Um, maybe we can incorporate analysis 1, 2, and 3 and see the trend. Apart from that, we also have other kind of data, the labor force survey data, the annual household survey data, which are different kind of data set. But I don't think with different kind of data set we can actually do parallel trend assumption. But with analysis, so 1 and 2 and 3, I guess if we do additional analysis, we can actually see the trend of where the treatment and control groups are going and what happens after the earthquake. So that can be one possibility of doing it. Apart from that, I really have to look at other methods. What can we do when there is limited pre-SOC data? The other comment was related to attrition rates. I really couldn't get to what you're trying to mean, but if I have to say something related to attrition, exclusively for HRVS data, the post-earthquake data, I have taken the samples which are consistently present across all samples. That is one argument for it. And another thing is, the another reason for attrition can be migration. People affected by the shock might migrate to other places. So for that, I tried to control for it actually. I guess this is two reasons. If you were referring to this type of attrition, that is from my side. Thank you so much for the audience.
Thank you for the question. So here is the important concern in the case of developing countries like Bangladesh, as Bangladesh, the agriculture base or agriculture dependence is very high. So what about renewable energy adaptation or adoption in the productivity of in the case of agriculture farming? So here the main concerns is that there is so many marginalized farmers as well as they are smallholders. So they have not the capability to adopt such renewable based or renewable resource based technology or infrastructure that can actually improve the productivity. But the main concern is how this cost can be minimized or how this cost can be provided by the authority or the government. That is the main question. So here the another things that actually impact in the adaptation of the renewable energy in the agriculture production, that is the privatization. When in agriculture, farmers actually uses infrastructure or other elements or that actually improve to crop production, from where actually this infrastructure actually come from these many private industry or private sectors. That's the main concern. In this case, when the government take proper actions to take initiative actually to make agreement with other private institutions that actually provide infrastructure to the farmers. That is the main concern. When there is a framework can be developed between these through incentive-based infrastructure through the private institution to the farmers as well as to the marginalized and smaller farmers. That can be a solution to adopt these renewable-based infrastructural resources in the overall country. That can be a solution in this case. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. The discussion have two questions for me. One is how I measure EP. EPI, we measures EP using EPI, Environmental Performance Index, which is collected from Yale Center for Environmental Law and Policy. And another question is about heterogeneity analysis. We actually conduct this analysis by dividing countries into 5 several sections. One is economic developed, tech developed, industrialized, urbanized, and polluted. Thank you, everyone.
Suhail, are you there?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
Okay,
I hope you heard the discussion. So do you have any final response from your side?
Yeah, a little bit. Okay, so thank you very so much for the discussion, for the very careful reading of my paper, and for the two important comments. I'm grateful for the SAEM and the conference team for giving me a chance to present. First point about the methodological gap and the mathematical analysis in my title. I fully agree that the title raises a expectation of a full econometrics results. In this version of my paper, because of my limits of a secondary data access and my own level as undergraduate student, I focused on building a clear and transparent 4 equation symmetry model and on defining the index and identification strategy uh, step by step. And on a second point about the geographical scale of India and the risk that some results may not be exact for the same places, I agree completely. India is very large and diverse country with big difference between Himalayan states and Indo-Gangetic plains and Deccan Plateau and coastal region. In my paper, I try to handle this by using district level panel data and by building indices that can vary by district. And that's all. Once again, I thank the discussion for these helpful comments.
Thank you very much. I hope the comments were helpful. The word comments and comments and through the paper. So before concluding the session, let me share some observations and I have a few questions as well to the paper presenters. The first one is to Rizal. Rizal, excellent paper, interesting topic. Everything is good. Just one question to you. We talked about food and non-food expenditures. So what does this non-food basket include? What are the items? You can respond now.
So for exact items that is included in the non-food, I have to look at the list, but to generally say it, the non-food lists are divided into two kind of subgroups. So one is frequent non-food, one is non-frequent non-food. Non-frequent non-food might include um, uh, expenses on fees, different kind of fees, different kind of payments to maybe legal expenses, and really other thing. I really have to look at the list for other items, but which requires really less frequent expenditure over the year. But regarding other frequent non-food expenditure, mm, mm, it might include even repair and maintenance of the households, uh, and a different kind of even durable goods are included in the non-food expenditures, and furniture, adding the furnitures, and maybe building the houses, maybe buying the cattles. So these kind of expenditure are included in the non-food, but I really have to look at the list. And um,
So I would suggest you look into the non-food items and please have a look at if there is any kind of variation, especially between frequent and non-frequent non-food items, right? So I would suggest that. All right. So next, Sharia. Good again. AMG again model, climate smart agriculture, policy implications. Interesting words, these are bad. So what does this policy implication mean? I mean, we talked about the infrastructure investment, renewable energy. These are the things that we all do. I would suggest you look into the solutions, right? So through your model, you try to establish that there is a positive relationship between environmental sustainability and agricultural productivity. And following that, you try to propose that we need to have climate smart or promote climate smart agriculture. So first, I think you need to understand that what does this climate smart agriculture mean? What does this climate smart agriculture ecosystem include? And then you come up with some solutions. I mean, of course, I appreciate you're just a student and you come out with this paper, but let's try to look beyond these, broad policy suggestions. Please try to come up with some interesting solutions that would be useful for the relevant, stakeholders, state, non-state stakeholders. But do you want to add something, especially on the understanding of climate smart agriculture ecosystem?
Uh, yeah, that's the main concern. Actually, this is a working paper. Actually, so many policy-related deep implication actually needed in this case, because this is the study actually based on the South Asian context. There are so many countries, so there is some differences among countries based on environment, based on geography. So this is the main concern to integrated a strong and evidence-based specific solution for the following, based on the following result. There's the concern. So in the case of climate smart agriculture, there is the main three pillars that actually needs to be addressed. First of all, to increase the productivity. Secondly, to mitigate the climate impact, and lastly, to adapt from the impact of the climate change or carbon emission. This is the main three things that needs to be addressed in the climate smart agriculture. But as Saruk already mentioned that there are so many deep insight needs to be addressed in this case. So this is the working paper. I will try further. Thank you.
So just you go back and try to understand the climate smart agriculture ecosystem.
Okay.
And then you redo it paper. What was your paper about? I mean, I'm a bit confused. Can you briefly tell me what is the focus of your paper?
The main focus of our paper is to investigate how digital economy influence environmental performance in Asian economies.
What was the conclusion?
And the conclusion is digital economy improve environmental performance, and the relationship is positive and significant.
And what is the policy implication?
We also integrate some mediation and moderation analysis. Based on this analysis and heterogeneity analysis, we suggest that government should focus on promoting promoting digital economy and promoting sustainable practices.
When you say promoting digital economy, what does it mean?
I mean, the economic activities should be done in a smart way, like smart management system, cleaner production process, and energy efficiency as well.
All right. I will give a comment at the end. This comment will be for all of you. Before that, let me go to this Suhaib. Is it right, Suhaib? Your name is Suhaib, right? Or I was mispronouncing all the way, I mean, from the start. Suhaib, can you hear me?
No, it's not quite audible, sir. Like the question.
Suhaib, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So, quickly, in one of your slides, you mentioned that the female labor force participation in rural areas has increased to 47.6%, right?
Yes, sir.
But still, the gender wage gap persists. And you have mentioned some reasons. Say, for example, they are involved in low skilled or semi skilled activities in agriculture, and also they need to take care of household, chores. I mean, unpaid domestic works. So these things are contributing to this kind of like wage gap. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I mean, there is another concern. I mean, this is something that we also discuss in Bangladesh when we talk about IoT sector, and that is automation is contributing to defeminization of defeminization in IoT sector. So here the finding is very interesting. We're seeing an increase in employment. At the same time, we're seeing the wage gap, gender wage gap remains. So how do you see this? I mean, do you see any implication of automation on employment, especially female employment, like we see in Bangladesh? Though there is a debate, like many says that on the ground the reality is different. Automation is not the real reason. I mean, here the perception is also a big factor. Say, for example, sometimes we also believe that female workers will not be able to, run the heavy machines, new technologies. So that also contribute to defeminization. So what is the scenario in India? This is something that I would love to hear from you. This is one thing. The other thing is you concluded by saying that the Indian government need to focus on gender-based agricultural subsidies. how does that work? What kind of subsidies you are talking about? I hope you heard me.
Yeah, but the first question I didn't clearly understand. But the second question, so the Indian government should work on the gender-based subsidies as in the as the green mechanization and the solar power in solar power initiatives and making reduced groundwater usage, uh, giving subsidized to the female farmers and the male farmers to increase to increase the percentage of the participation, and by that making the gender wage gap equal among the female and the male. And the first question, I didn't hear the proper term, I didn't heard any.
It's all right.
I
Since we
didn't.
are running out of time, so it's all right. We can connect sometime later. But one
Yeah.
suggestion to all of you, to all of you, please try to understand the interpretation of the data. Models are good, but please try to understand what these results or findings trying to say. That's very important. So this is something I also share with my younger colleagues. So I would suggest you all, please try to, focus or emphasize on, the interpretation of data. That's all from my side. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, certificates. So Suhaib, you will get an e-certificate, I guess. But thank you so much, Suhaib, for joining us. All the best.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for everyone.